Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming to our special board meeting. The first thing I want to do is check with James, our attorney. We don't have a quorum. We have 2 members. Is it acceptable to proceed under open meeting laws and every other concern?
I don't think it comes under the open meetings, but it clearly comes under our bylaws.
Okay.
Which says that in Article 6, a majority of the Board of Directors will constitute a quorum for meetings. And for better or worse, it does not appear that we have a majority of the Board of Directors. We can wait. It doesn't say anything about, it's just now 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Certainly at liberty to wait for some period of time if you choose to.
Well, can we still proceed with the meeting as an educational meeting?
I don't think you can, because of, at least not in compliance with the bylaw. It doesn't seem to make any exceptions. So, I mean, you're asking me for my legal opinion, and
that's right.
And based on our bylaws, that's what it would be. So.
Okay. So, Rick and Scott both said that they had conflicts, but Ralph indicated that he wasn't coming because we chose a night when they couldn't come. So we should document that.
It's up to, obviously, you all if we want to wait for a period of time. There's no specific provision in the bylaws that addresses that.
Okay. Well, I think 5 minutes would be courteous.
Very good.
So what would be the difference between, us continuing and having a conversation with staff in this session versus just calling another meeting with staff tomorrow and having a meeting?
Well,
we could still discuss these things. We just we'd have to adjourn the special meeting, right?
But no, any meeting requires a quorum, which under our bylaws requires, unless it's some group less than the Board of Directors.
That's what I mean.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah. So
it would be like an agenda
we could basically
meeting.
turn this into a regular, similar to the agenda meeting, have a conversation with staff and move forward, just adjourn the special meeting and move on, right? Is that not, why is that any different than any meeting we have in the plant board offices?
Well, there's been notice of a special meeting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just trying to sort that out.
Yeah.
For which we do not have a quorum.
Right.
So
we adjourn that meeting.
We don't proceed there. You cannot proceed there. Right. So now tell me what.
So then we adjourn that meeting, we dispense with that, we're done with it. Everybody's here. We want to talk through these items with staff. Is there anything precluding us from just continuing to talk through these items with staff?
I don't know.
Okay. Would you like to consult with our other legal person with Hans?
I don't know. I don't think that questions. You obviously couldn't take any action.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
We can't vote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'd look at it as educational review of ideas.
I don't know. Mr. Price, do you want to weigh in on that? I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I don't know that question's ever come up.
It's a good question. With we've noticed a special meeting and say, well, we're going to adjourn and keep discussing it. It raises some questions about you don't have a quorum present, so there's really no meeting.
But we have agenda meetings every few days before the actual regular board meeting with 2 members from the board.
To discuss what kind of the wrinkle to it I'm trying to think through is that we've noticed the meeting, and then we're going to adjourn, and then we're going to go on and discuss that. That's sort of what I want, but nevertheless, you have notice of it. Mm-hmm. So I'm not seeing any similar type cases that would come out, but you don't have a quorum, so you don't have a meeting, but you do have a discussion of public business.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's
which has been noticed, and also we wouldn't be taking any votes
Well, that's true.
Mhm.
That's true. You have to do some, you kind of want to avoid, having, a series of less than a quorum meetings, when you, to discuss them, when you say, well, it's educational purposes, but we've noticed it as a meeting. Like I said, I'm just trying to kind of think through what, what the issues, like some things that come to mind. You've got notice, you've got an agenda. So see what maybe somebody will show up, you get a quorum. That would make that easier question. I'll wait a tad bit.
Okay.
But
Can I ask what budget matters will be on the agenda
Sure.
for the regular meeting?
Oh, for the regular meeting?
Yeah, no, I know I have tonight's proposed agenda.
I have that with me. I can dig it out.
We have this.
Right, for the 21st?
No, this is for tonight.
No, I have tonight.
Oh,
He has
okay.
My
The executive
question,
badges?
my question is, and I don't know who has the answer, if anybody, what budget matters are be on the agenda for the regular monthly meeting?
I don't have a regular agenda with me.
Well, here, I have the executive digest for the meeting on the 21st. I think
Okay.
that's what you're asking.
Yeah, that would answer it.
There, my notes are on there, but.
Thank
just
you.
ignore those.
Okay. Okay, item number 30 is consider approval of the 16-17 fiscal year budget and accept the 5-year plan, and that appears to be the only item. Is there any reason that the items proposed for tonight could not be included in that discussion?
They certainly could be. The reason why we didn't go that route was we felt we had a lot of information to go through, and we wanted to present it to staff so that they could go back and research and maybe fill in the other parts where we look at it as board and they look at it as staff, and have that information prepared for that meeting on the 21st. Now, another option would be to present this information on the 21st and have another special meeting before July 1st. And maybe what you're saying is that's what we should do.
And everything you said made perfect sense, and still does. I think the problem was finding a time when at least a majority of the board could be here.
Right, and we were concerned that by putting it off until the 21st, that it's just could get ignored as not being significant.
It would be feasible, or do we think it would be feasible, I think what you just said a minute ago, to basically put tonight's agenda on Tuesday's agenda, and then have a special meeting between Tuesday and
To handle
July
item 20.
1 to presumably approve the budget.
Yes.
Would that
I think
be
it's-
feasible?
I think it's possible. I think the concerns there are, one, I think there's a non-trivial amount of content to go through.
Oh, I agree there.
Tuesday's going to be a
Yes.
significant meeting already.
Yes.
With that additional load on there.
Yes.
Then the other concern is if we put off the budget approval till later in the month, does that you know, even after we have this discussion, there's going to be some time that's required by staff to get back together for us to do that. And I want to make sure we give them as much time as they can to be able to get through all that.
And I don't discount any of that. I think those.
Actually, one of our items here is to talk about expanding this window so we're not so
Yeah,
compressed.
yeah, for future considerations.
consideration,
which This
yeah.
is a good example of.
Yeah.
Let me just ask staff in general, anybody, is that feasible for staff if tonight's proposed items are put on Tuesday's agenda, and then we come up with a date for another special meeting, which would obviously have to be before the end of June? I'm asking anybody that wants to chime. David, do you think that's workable?
We're going to be crunched towards the end getting the budget, but we do have
Yeah.
a statute we have to have approved by June 30th.
Right, right.
So we will meet that deadline.
Okay.
Well, we do have technically 9 days there, the 21st to the 30th, and of course, we wouldn't want to do it on the 9th day, but,
Yeah.
I would like for us, it would be helpful if this is on that agenda to have clear decisions made so we can have confidence that what we're bringing to the board would be approved.
Right. And that was kind of our goal, to be able to get in front of it so we'd be able to make those decisions next Tuesday, and then you would have those remaining 9 days to actually be able to act on it. And then
Yeah.
we could meet, so.
So you'd be looking at one more special meeting.
So we would actually end up with 2 special meetings instead of 1.
To
right?
do, and that, you might do that regardless if you
Right.
put this on Tuesday and then thought that was necessary.
Mhm.
So then we'd have the discussion Tuesday, may or may not make a decision there. There'd be a meeting after
Yeah.
to see the final budget, and then,
I'd be much better with that from a legal standpoint. I think
Okay.
we're on shaky ground.
well, hopefully all
Otherwise-
the board members can make it to the 21st meeting, and we can choose 2 dates that everyone can attend.
But would we might just need one, or do we definitely think we need
Well, I think what
two?
David said was that we need one to approve it and another one for the staff to make sure it's correct, or say it again, please.
My thoughts, that Tuesday's regular meeting, we would go over the items.
staff would turn those into actual
It would be
proposals.
nice if the board would come to a consensus of to include or not to include those items, and then we would just need one additional special meeting to have it approved.
Oh, okay.
Is it, let me ask the 2 members that are here, is it feasible to discuss tonight's items Tuesday and the board be able to take action Tuesday?
Well-
And I don't know if it is or not.
Unless we need input from staff. Now, if we could say to staff, look these things over that we've listed and be prepared,
Okay.
is that reasonable to do?
And staff has this information now.
Right, the
Okay.
executive
So-
digest we put together.
One additional special meeting for sure, 2 if absolutely necessary. And I certainly agree, we're looking at a lengthy meeting Tuesday night if we do what we're discussing.
Right.
So how do we get some final say on what the rules are about having these meetings?
Well,
Do we need to follow up with the AG, or how do we get some?
no,
rules?
I'm clear that we have to have a quorum to meet.
Sure, but I guess my conversation is back to the original question.
Yeah.
If we adjourn this meeting, and then everybody's here as a matter of efficiency, we go through this informational thing to make sure everybody's on the same page, just to discuss the items. Why is that any different, and what rules preclude or allow that?
I
that
think
to move forward?
I think the difference is the notice that was given.
But if we adjourn the meeting, why is it notably different than having a sidebar conversation with a couple of members and staff after the normal meetings we have? every
Well,
day?
there is a distinction between that, and they've all assembled in regard to the notice.
That's the question that comes up.
Right, that's-
We've noticed the meeting, but then we adjourn the meeting and we keep going anyway. So that's the tricky issue
Yeah.
that you get into, that creates questions. Now, that's not to say that there's not an argument that's possible, that, you know, it's for educational purposes.
And I guess my only question is how do we get a final thought on what that is?
Well, I think that would be my final thought, having given it just a few minutes of thought. And one other thing that comes to mind is that the notice did provide for an opportunity for public comment, which is entirely appropriate. And obviously, you can't have that if we have adjourned that meeting and gone into something else. You know, that's obviously not informal discussion with staff, so.
I see. But public comment can be made through our website so,
It can. I'm basing my opinion on the notice that was given, which was entirely appropriate. There's no issue there, but in response to that notice, we don't have a quorum. So,
okay.
my opinion as board's counsel is that would end it for tonight. And I think we've got a somewhat workable solution, for lack of a better word.
So, on the question of a board member who could be here but isn't here, is there any repercussion for that?
It would, only, it would be up to the other members to determine if they thought something improper had occurred, and, the bylaws provide for action on that, depending on, which would eventually go to a vote of the board.
Okay,
And I'm not weighing in on that one way or the other,
right.
so. Mr. GM, did you want to say something a minute ago in regard to what's being discussed?
No, staff's ready and prepared to work with the board and get this budget approved and look at different options and go forward.
Okay. Would it be feasible and helpful, and I'll just throw this out to anybody, for staff to have some response to the items that have been presented, the newer items that have been presented between now and Tuesday?
Or should we schedule a separate meeting on Friday or Monday to maybe talk through it with staff, just to make
Yeah.
sure everybody's on the same page?
David Denton and myself are both scheduled to be off Friday and Monday.
Okay.
I guess that answers that question.
So,
Well, since everyone has a copy of what we want to go through, that's a helpful thing right there for preparing for Tuesday.
okay. So, sounds like and you all jump in if I state this incorrectly, that the request is put tonight's proposed items on the Tuesday agenda. And I'm assuming, based on that, there wouldn't be any way to vote on the entire budget Tuesday night.
Correct.
Okay, so remove that item from Tuesday's agenda, and then schedule a special meeting, at least one, sometime between Tuesday and the end of June.
Yes.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody on staff have a strong opposition to that? Okay. So,
Okay, so I don't know if I need to say the meeting's adjourned, but it is.
it is. Okay. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody, for coming anyway.
Thank you.